This place is like one of those places that you walk by it and you don't notice it because it's kind of dark brown and it's just sort of, it stands right on the corner. We were looking for a new place to live and we really wanted a balcony. And when I saw the balconies, I was like, oh my God, we need to check out that place. And we had an opportunity to buy a unit on the 6th floor. And so we bought that and we've lived here ever since. I walk out here like this all the time and go, my city. That's the way it feels. I am Michael St. James. I'm the president of the board of directors of London House.
This is London House.
Hello.
These condos sit just blocks from the Colorado State Capitol.
It's just really easy to live in Capitol Hill if you know what Capitol Hill is. It's a major city. It's kind of a vibrant area of Denver. We remodeled the staircases last year. So as far as like being a part of the HOA, I kind of didn't really understand how it worked. And I was fascinated by it. I mean, it is your investment, where you live. And I wanted to make things better. I could see how to make things better. Since COVID, we repainted, recarpeted, redid everything in all the community areas. Like, I just continually do not want to be the president of the board, but I know that I'm good at it. I know that I'm taking care of what needs to be done. This is the shop. And part of that has been changing management companies and getting the board into a place to where I can leave it and feel like I've left it for other people to do. And we're not there yet because of all of this.
Some background on all of this. In December,
So the incident.
in the office of the HOA's property manager, something went wrong.
This is where everything goes from bad to worse.
The management company said an email spoofing incident with a phony invoice left London House in a $30,000 hole.
It wasn't $30,000, it was $29,996. So the information that we got was basically like, it was a spoofed email and it got paid out to somebody and it was an accident and it's all gonna be worked out. So my first response was like, okay, send us that email, send us that invoice, send the board all the information that you have, because I don't have any of these things that you're talking about.
The management company reported the incident to police, who have since closed their case due to a lack of evidence. The HOA says it has still been told very little about what happened.
I don't know because no one's forcing them to tell me. No police, no state authority, nobody is forcing them to give me that information. And I think this is a problem with every HOA board.
There's a little bit of history.
To understand how this happened to this community, it helps to look at the broader picture of how HOAs run in Colorado.
We do estimate that approximately 46% of Colorado's population resides in an HOA of one form or another. I'm David Donnelly. I'm the HOA Information Officer with the Colorado's Division of Real Estate. A lot of the new construction that is taking place in the state of Colorado is in these planned communities or in these common interest communities.
State data shows there are more than 10,000 HOAs in Colorado, and most of them are professionally managed. Meaning that while a volunteer board of homeowners make a lot of decisions, an outside company runs the day-to-day business. Those companies are paid by homeowners through their required dues, also known as assessments.
I did live in an HOA, and I actually served on that board for 6 years. Community association managers ultimately perform a really important role in my case, for that community. I didn't know roofers. I didn't know plumbers. I didn't know electricians. Our community association management company was able to bring that knowledge base.
Lots of responsibilities fall on community association managers, or CAMs, as you'll hear some people call them. They have to keep up the place, collect the dues, pay the community's bills, and often they have to control the community's bank accounts. All of that responsibility and power made Colorado lawmakers think at one point that HOA managers should be subject to some kind of oversight.
Now, CAMs, community association managers, are not licensed. There's a little bit of history, which is that in 2015, the Division of Real Estate did implement a CAM regulation or a CAM program.
To get a license, a manager would have to take classes about state HOA law and pass a test. And if someone had a complaint, regulators could investigate it, potentially discipline managers who did something wrong, fine them, even revoke their license and put them out of business.
And that regulation did stay in place for approximately 4 years, after which point it was reviewed by the Colorado legislature.
I'm the president of my homeowners association, and I have a management company that's licensed, and the management companies are in support of this bill.
State Representative Brianna Titone in 2019 sponsored a bill that would have continued the requirement for managers to be licensed.
This requires that the managers know what the law is. And I want somebody who knows what the law is when they are managing my financials and my day-to-day stuff. My board is a volunteer board.
The bill passed, and then the governor vetoed it, and the licensing program went away.
Governor Jared Polis vetoed the legislation. In a letter explaining his veto, Polis said, quote, "We have seen very few instances where licensure has helped protect consumers." And, quote, "The costs associated with licensure are generally passed along to homeowners in the form of higher HOA fees, at a time when the high cost of housing remains a top concern of our administration." So, now, HOA managers are no longer regulated by the state. And that leads to some confusion.
So if you were to go to the Division of Real Estate license lookup tool, which anyone in the public can do, and you typed in your community association management company, if they've been around for more than a few years, you'd see that there is a license there, but it will say expired. And we get lots of calls saying, my CAM isn't licensed right now. What the heck? What's going on here?
Homeowners can file complaints with the State HOA Information and Resource Center, Donnelly's office, but they don't have authority to investigate the complaints or enforce HOA law. We reviewed dozens of complaints submitted through the HOA office's website this year, and roughly half of them were about the actions of a property management company. That's how we found Michael St. James in London House.
You know, that's what I was told to do, file with them. And I filed this huge, long exhibit. This is what happened. And they're like, oh, we actually don't investigate that because they're not licensed for property management. And I was just devastated. I was like, well, why did I put all this information out there?
Some members of the public can say, well, then why did I take the time to do this? I explained to them that what we do with the statistical data that we collect, which is that we collect that into a report and provide that to the legislature so that the legislature can act if they deem appropriate.
The HOA Resource Office, I consider the office of shoulder to cry on, because that's all you can do is cry on their shoulder, and they can say, oh, well, I'm sorry you're going through that, but there's nothing I can do.
I think while I can be a shoulder to cry on, I don't think that that's me really doing my job very well, if that's all that I provide. And when I'm able to, I do provide a response to that individual, helping them by providing some resources or information that might help aid them in their next steps.
In Colorado's most recent legislative session, Representative Titone proposed a bill that would have brought some oversight back. She tried to make it more cost-effective by requiring companies to carry a license rather than individual employees. But the proposal failed. Several community association management companies testified against it, at times pointing to the relatively low numbers of complaints received by the HOA office as evidence that homeowners aren't having widespread problems. More than 2 million Coloradans live in HOAs, but last year the state only received about 700 complaints.
Nobody reaches out to them, because if you just file a complaint and nothing gets done, why bother? There has to be some kind of accountability. And in this structure we have now, there's no accountability to anybody. It's the wild, wild west.
It's just been horrible. He says as he laughs. But I mean, that's all you can do at this point is laugh about it.
Michael St. James said he'd like to see complaints like London houses get investigated by state regulators in the future. But without that, he says, communities are going to have to do more.
I think it should be licensing for property managers. But I also think that HOAs need to be more proactive. I think that HOAs, for the longest time, have handed over their bank accounts, have handed over their business. It's not going to be as easy as it has been, where volunteers are going to have to do more work.
The London House HOA terminated its former management company, Mastino Management, and said that the company has yet to turn over its accounting records. Mastino told us it has tried several times to give London House its records through the HOA's attorney, but that attorney told us that's not accurate. Mastino also told us London House owes their company money. London House says it can't know how much money Mastino may be owed without its accounting records. In August, another HOA formerly managed by Mastino served the company with a lawsuit. The Traditions Filings 1 through 7 Master Association in Aurora claimed that more than $757,000 that were supposed to be deposited into the association's accounts were instead deposited into Mastino's bank account and not repaid to the association. We're told every resident of the massive Traditions community has since been billed about 28% more in dues every month to help get their community back on track. Mastino's attorney told us the company will be responding to the lawsuit in court soon and bringing its own claims against the HOA, its bank, and someone who controlled the Traditions account. Mastino told us in a statement, in part, quote, "This lawsuit arose from a dispute in which the Traditions board refused to pay their vendors and overspent beyond their ability to pay. One of the parties they have not paid includes Mastino." Mastino also said, quote, "Each of these instances has many sides to it." And Mastino said the law is clear, quote, "Board members are responsible for acting lawfully, and they are responsible for the financial performance of their communities. Hence, they make all the decisions, and Mastino takes their direction." The management company also said it was licensed, quote, "without incident," unquote, during the time that the state regulated property management companies. And it supports regulation of the industry, which Mastino said, quote, "presented a much better method for resolving these issues."
So it's just been frustrating, it's been tragic.
For now, resolution feels elusive at London House.
It's 9 months later, we've been without $30,000, and we've run down every lead we can. But in every one of these cases, I've just been told, nope, we don't do that. And nope, you have no recourse. And so I don't know what the answer is, but we're continuing to fight.